March 19th, 2026.
Global trade hasn't stopped. It's been paused. Ships still float, containers still sit on docks, but oil isn't moving. Fertilizer isn't moving, wheat isn't moving, and when the system that feeds and fuels the planet hits pause, everything downstream starts to crack. A gallon of gas costs more than lunch. A loaf of bread costs more than it did during the pandemic. And Americans, already burned out by years of economic whiplash, are asking the only question that matters. Why does every crisis end up at my grocery bill? It began on February 28th. Israel and the U.S. launched Operation Roaring Lion, a coordinated strike on Iran's military and command facilities. But the real target wasn't missiles or bunkers, it was timing, flow, choke points, because Iran hit back not with warheads, but with geography. It disrupted the Strait of Hormuz, a corridor that carries 20% of the world's oil, and sent prices spiraling past $102 a barrel overnight. Insurance teams froze all marine routes, tankers sat idle for days, and global logistics began to suffocate. A war fought with geography and spreadsheets, not bombs. Just 18 days before the first strikes, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei died. On March 8th, his son Mojtaba Khamenei seized control. A quiet transition, but a seismic one. Mujtaba's doctrine wasn't about confrontation, it was about leverage. He understood that in 2026, the true weapon wasn't uranium, it was supply chains. He called it asymmetry through dependency, and it was perfectly suited for a world already stretched to breaking point. While the world argued about shipping lanes, Iran struck an invisible artery. Desalination plants across the Gulf. 40% of the region's drinking water comes from those plants. For Bahrain, Qatar, and parts of Saudi Arabia, turning seawater into fresh water isn't a luxury, it's survival. When they went offline, panic spread faster than pollution. Bottled water shortages hit Dubai first, then export bans followed. And within 2 weeks, irrigation systems supplying global vegetable exports began shutting down. The world discovered that when water stops flowing in the desert, food prices rise in the West. The next domino was fertilizer. The Strait of Hormuz doesn't just move oil, it moves urea and potash, the lifeblood of modern agriculture. When shipments froze, global prices jumped 29% in a week. That number sounds abstract until you realize what it means. Spring crop yields will fall, animal feed will spike, and by June, the average price of a loaf of bread in America will double. Breadline economics in an energy war 7,000 miles away. In supermarkets from Chicago to Atlanta, consumers aren't thinking about Iran. They're thinking about their wallets and the system that promised stability, then quietly broke down. We've been running on adrenaline for years. Pandemic, inflation, war, artificial intelligence layoffs, mortgage freezes. Every new crisis asks us to adapt. But adaptation has a cost, human bandwidth. In the weeks after the oil shock, analysts noticed something new. Online search trends shifted from Israel-Iran war to why is gas so expensive? From nuclear escalation to grocery bill depression. People weren't tuning out because they were ignorant. They were tuning out because they were exhausted. Psychologists call it collective burnout, a chronic stress response that doesn't just affect individuals, but entire societies. Constant news of crisis, constant vigilance, and no space to recover. When every headline feels like survival, empathy becomes a luxury. We are living at the edge of order, the fragile line between a stable world and a tired one, between a functioning economy and a burned-out society. We once measured crises by the number of missiles fired. Now we measure them by the price of bread. So when people ask what Operation Roaring Lion was really about, the answer isn't Israel or Iran or oil. It's about us, our dependence, our distraction, our fatigue. The world is still standing, but it's trembling, because sometimes the most dangerous wars aren't the ones we see. They're the ones fought quietly, inside systems and inside us. And history, as always, will decide how long the pause lasts.